What do you recommend for other college students to do? If you have a kid out in college, it's all you're thinking about right now. If they're away at school, you want to make sure they're home for Christmas. What do you tell them?
Yeah. So what complicates this a little is the fact that they're not on campus. If they were on campus, you have campus security, you have video, you still have the same college hijinks and shenanigans going on, but it's in a little more structured environment. This is a private house off campus. So, what do you guys suggest for your young adults that are out there at college and off campus residences? How do you stay safe?
Think about how many college kids, thousands upon thousands of college kids, are in off campus residences. They're in these apartments and they're concerned. Their parents are concerned. They're concerned. They're asking the question, how do I prevent myself from being a victim of a crime? How do I prevent myself from being harmed? There's a lot of different advice. I could read off a few of them off the top of my head. These college students had locks on their doors, their individual doors, with a PIN code that they'd punch in. I would change up that code whenever you break up with a boyfriend, whether you're having a fight with a friend, and they may know that code. I would change that code. They know that code. They could easily access that room.
That's great advice.
I would make sure that you walk in pairs. We say this all the time. Make sure that you're with somebody else. Now, in this case, all four victims, they were in pairs. And it's just mind-boggling how all four of them were killed. And there was no outcry. There was no 911 call. There was no screaming. Maybe there was screaming, but nobody heard it. They were out in pairs. They were at the food truck in pairs. They were at the parties in pairs. And it still happened. But I think by being out in pairs, it just lessens your likelihood that you will be harmed.
Yeah, if you go out together, you come back together. And it's almost like being a soldier. Leave no man behind or woman behind. Never leave a friend that you went out with alone after you leave. Sometimes easier said than done, but you go out together, you come back together.
One of the other things, and I know that college students are very hesitant, I know my kids are very hesitant to this, is cameras. These college kids don't want cameras up. But I think in this climate, I think it would be a good thing. There's different types of cameras. There's the doorbell cameras, and I don't want to mention the specific name brands, but there's some really good camera systems out there on the market right now that anybody could buy, that you could put on your door. You could put it on your individual door. You could put it on the front door. You could put standalone cameras that if you install them, you'll have a better sense of security with who's coming and going in and out of your dorm room.
Yeah, I think this is all great advice. And this works great for strangers. And that's what, when you think about everything you're saying, none of that happened here. They did travel in groups. They were home. It's almost like they were comfortable in their own home. Was somebody in that home that they knew, that all these recommendations kind of didn't apply in this situation?
For all we know, they may have invited the murderer in.
Exactly. That's my point. Are they comfortable with the situation as the night's going on? Even though the windows are locked, the doors are locked, is that person there with them?
Well, you don't know whether the windows were locked or the doors were locked. That's another recommendation is, just periodically check the windows and doors to make sure that they are locked. One of the things I would advise as a safety hazard is you just want to be careful if you're going to block that door or you're going to block the window. You always want to be aware that it could possibly be a fire hazard. So you don't want to go to a certain extent where you're preventing yourself from getting out of that apartment or that room if there is a fire. But you also want to just make sure that you regularly check the locks on the windows and the doors. Another important thing here is report suspicious behavior to authorities. If there's somebody that is acting a little odd, a little weird, somebody that kind of makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, report it to authorities. It's no harm in doing that. Always know your surroundings. You have to know your surroundings. My last recommendation would be there's an importance here of designating a driver, just somebody that is sober, who knows the surroundings, who could make good judgment decisions and get everyone home safe and sound.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear what I have to say right now, but once you get past the point that you've raised a responsible young adult and you've given them that safety awareness that they're always aware of their surroundings, which, for us cops kids just innately have that. The world is what it is. And sometimes there are just things that we cannot, I hate to say it, but there are things we cannot protect our children from. And this might be one of them.